Hi there, and welcome to this latest flipped history video. This video has only two learning intentions. The first learning intention is to describe ministerial instability, and the success criteria is that I can describe ministerial instability, including the actors and their points of view. The second learning intention is to indicate the causes of Confederation, and the success criteria is that I can determine the causes of Confederation and rank them in terms of their importance. So one of the main issues that politicians in the province of Canada had to deal with was an issue called ministerial instability. And what this meant was that after responsible government was brought in 1848, there was a number of different governments that lasted a very short period of time because no one could gain a majority of the seats in the Legislative Assembly. This was due to the fact that there were four political groups, and not always would they get along. So the different political groups were, first of all, the Clear Grits. This was a political group mainly from Upper Canada or Canada West. They were led by George Brown, and the main thing that they wanted was something called rep by pop, or representation by population. In the Legislative Assembly at the time, each section of the province of Canada had 42 seats. So even though Canada West or Upper Canada was growing, it still had the same number of seats as Lower Canada. They also wanted to promote public schools, and they were suspicious of the Catholic Church. They backed farmers' rights and wanted the province of Canada to claim territory to the west. That was territory in Rupert's Land that was owned by the Hudson's Bay Company. The second major political group were the Liberal Conservatives. After 1857, they were led by John A. Macdonald, who would later become the first Prime Minister of Canada. Many of their positions were in support of business and railways. They had a strong support for the French-Canadian position in Canada. However, in 1854, they were responsible for abolishing the seigneurial system. The other political group, or one of them that we've already seen, is the Parti Rouge. They were led by Antoine-Aimé Dorion. They were perhaps the smallest group in the Legislative Assembly. They were liberal and Republican. They were, once again, against the Ultramontanists, and it was very difficult to gain their support. The fourth group were known as Les Bleus. They were also from Lower Canada. They were conservative, business-oriented, and led by Georges-Etienne Cartier. And the Bleu and Liberal Conservatives were kind of natural allies, and they often voted together. However, after many years of failed governments, John A. Macdonald and George Brown came together to form the Great Coalition in 1864. This was uniting the Clear Grits, the Liberal Conservatives, and Les Bleus. And what they wanted was to have a federal union, which would have meant a strong central government and powers for provinces in a new country. There were a number of other factors that led to Confederation as well. Some were economic factors, like the end of the Reciprocity Treaty between the United States and the British North American colonies, which included New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and Newfoundland. The treaty was a free trade treaty in agricultural products, which included timber and wheat, which were exported to the United States free of duties or taxes. In exchange, the Americans gained access to fisheries along the East Coast. This was beneficial for Canadian exporters, and exports to the United States increased over this time. However, the treaty was ended in 1866 due to ill feelings over British support for the South during the American Civil War. Another economic factor that led to Confederation was the proposal to create a railway link between Halifax and Montreal. This intercolonial or transcolonial railway was proposed to bring about an economic benefit and would have allowed goods to be shipped throughout British or Canadian territory to a port, which was Halifax, that did not freeze over in the winter. In order to get goods to market, Canadians were having to ship goods to the United States because the St. Lawrence would freeze in the wintertime. There were also security factors. One is that the British no longer wished to pay for the protection of Canada and wished to withdraw British troops from their colonies because of their increased focus in other parts of the empire. There were also fears of American expansion. This was due to the large American military presence after the Civil War. During the time of the Civil War, which was in the 1860s, the American Congress even proposed to annex Canada, and there was even a bill that was put forward in Congress but was never really voted on. There were actually military conflicts across the Canadian and American border. During the American Civil War, Southern sympathizers attacked the United States, trying to use Canada as a base. And after the end of the war, veterans of the war in the Northern Army that were Irish, who were collectively known as Fenians. These were Irish nationalists who wanted an independent democratic Irish republic. And while some supported an uprising in Ireland, others sought to get their goals by attacking Canada, which, remember, had supported the South during the Civil War. There were a number of battles between Fenians, who in 1866 even called themselves the Irish Republican Army. They attacked in New Brunswick and Upper Canada along the Niagara, which resulted in the Battle of Ridgeway, and also there were crossings of the border in Lower Canada in the Eastern Townships area. There were further attacks in Lower Canada, which was now known as Quebec, in 1870 and also in 1871. So, taken together, these were all factors that helped lead to Confederation.